Most people move through life feeling unsupported. Not because that's true, but because they've been taught they're supposed to figure everything out alone. When things feel confusing or uncertain, you might think you're missing something. But here's what most people never consider. Feeling lost is not a failure. It's usually a signal that something important has been forgotten. And before I explain what that is, let me tell you this. You are not navigating this life alone. The way guidance shows up is probably very different from what you would expect. Now, guidance is not rare or dramatic, and it is not reserved for chosen or especially spiritual people. In fact, it shows up for people who aren't even looking for it. They just happen to notice. And you don't have to believe anything specific to utilize this. Some people call it God, others call it the universe, spirit guide, ancestors, angels, whatever you want to call it. The language does not matter. What matters is this. The moment you sincerely ask and stay receptive, guidance begins responding. And today, I want to show you how it's shown up in my life so you can replicate these methods and try for yourself with receipts. So this first one is called nighttime downloads. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, not sure why? You weren't anxious or alarmed, maybe feeling as if someone or something within you woken you up. This actually happened to me often enough that I started keeping a notebook and a pen next to my pillow. Little by little, I started writing things down. At first, nothing made sense. Short phrases, half-formed ideas, and things that felt incomplete. And then slowly things started to make sense. I'm gonna show you one that particularly stood out to me. It says, don't make a rat race out of everything you do. Personally, I believe my spirit guides are sending me these little messages, and it's a funny little way of them telling me to relax and slow down, because when I get an idea, I do tend to, make it a rat race and try to realize that idea as soon as possible today. When I want something, I go to the store and I buy it. And it's their funny little way of telling me, can you relax? So I thought that was really clever, and with time, I actually wrote down information that was much longer. I'm gonna put a picture on the side somewhere so you can pause and read it if you would like. So when you implement consistency into this method, you receive longer messages. And by the way, there were nights where I felt too tired and just didn't feel like I was in the mood to answer those messages. I would just go back to sleep, and slowly the messages have went away. And once I wanted to return those messages back, I set my alarm for 3 a.m. and they came back. And here's why this happens. At night, the conscious mind finally relaxes. During the day, it's busy analyzing, filtering, questioning, and protecting you. But in that space between sleep and waking, your subconscious becomes accessible. This part of you does not speak in logic. It communicates through impressions, images, and quiet knowing. That's why these nighttime insights don't feel forced. And they're not always meant to be understood immediately. Clarity might come later when the conscious mind catches up. The second method is simply asking for a sign. Now, if you're skeptical, this is the one that might change that. Ask for a sign that's meaningful but not impossible. I once asked to be shown a blue rose. It's not unrealistic, but not common either. Then I just stayed aware. Weeks later, I saw one online. It was a knitted bouquet, really interesting thing. Then I saw another in my patient's room. And I even asked to take a photo of it because I had no idea blue roses even existed. They kept appearing so often that I stopped taking pictures. And one day, while questioning whether I should take dance classes, I saw a dancer wearing an outfit covered in blue roses. That was my answer. It since then became one of my guiding signs and an object piquing my attention. And these signs can repeat until they're noticed. So sometimes you might not notice, so the higher power might send you additional signs. The next one is called synchronicity. And the first thing I want to mention is this. There is no such thing as a coincidence. Synchronicity is the experience of meaningful alignment. Let's say you see a painting somewhere with strawberries that really stands out to you. Later that day, you see your friend and you see they're wearing a top covered in strawberries. That's not random. Sometimes it can be a sign to pay attention, and other times it's quiet reassurance that you're on the right path. What looks like coincidence on the surface carries information underneath. Not because everything is dramatic or symbolic, but because awareness is always interacting with reality. When you ask a question internally, something shifts and you start noticing patterns you would have otherwise missed. And sometimes those patterns arrive with such precision that they feel intentional. Maybe it's a sentence you overhear just at the right moment, or a book opening to the exact page you need. The more receptive you are, the more clearly those alignments begin to stand out. The next method is called intuitive pulse. Sometimes guidance doesn't arrive as a sign at all. It shows up as a pull. You suddenly feel drawn to a video, a podcast, a meditation. After asking a question, you might feel drawn to a video, and inside of it, you might find the exact answer you're looking for. There's no logical reason for you to be drawn to it and to clicking it. Just curiosity and your intuition. Sometimes the answer isn't even words. Sometimes it's just a feeling. Trust what you're drawn towards. Your intuition already knows what you're ready to receive. Method number 5 is called the body's response. Not all guidance comes as thoughts. Have you ever made a decision and something in your stomach turned? Or you've agreed to a task and it just made you feel so elevated and light? Sometimes it comes through sensation, a sense of calm when something is aligned, or tightness when something isn't. Your body often responds before your mind can explain it. And learning to listen to those signals is a language of its own. This next method is called stillness. When the mind is loud, guidance becomes quiet. But in stillness, such as meditation, nature, or slow breathing, space opens. Once during a rough period in my life, I was questioning whether everything was falling apart. I was desperately asking the higher power for answers. That week, I was sitting outside with a quiet mind, focusing on my breath, and it overtook me. Not words, just an inner knowing that everything would be okay. It felt like God reached out to me and gave me a brief hug. Quieting your mind works. Sometimes nothing happens right away, and then hours or days later, clarity might arrive. Another way to receive guidance is through dreams. By waking up and writing down what you saw in your dream, you will start to remember more details from your dreams. I have gone from writing 1 to 2 sentences about my dream to writing multiple paragraphs because my memory retention has improved due to consistency of writing down the information. When you do this, pay special attention to the symbols and especially to repeating dreams. You can then search any symbolic meanings. What you need to know is this: you are guided and you are supported, and you are never asking into emptiness. The more you listen, the clearer it becomes. And the higher your frequency is, the easier it becomes to receive the messages. If you'd like to know how you can instantly raise your frequency, you should watch this video and comment down below which method resonated with you the most. I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.